Everyone remembers when they were young the thrill it was to crack open a new coloring book and box of crayons and start making those black and white pictures come alive. It didn't matter if you filled in Donald Duck's coat in the same blue as it was in the cartoons, or if you made Supergirl's outfit the traditional blue and red, you were in charge. You could let your imagination run away with you and make your pictures look any way you wanted. That freedom and the fun of seeing the drab page light up in living color made you feel artistic and confident, in addition to giving Mom an hour or so of peace and quiet. Well, coloring is not just for kids anymore. Now the trend is in coloring books for adults, and there are plenty of them out there. We talked to two of the most popular artists who designed these books about their processes, why they think adult coloring books are all the rage now, and how filling in a design with color is beneficial to kids of any age. Johanna Basford is an artist and the author of a series of adult coloring books. Her latest is titled Lost Ocean, an inky adventure and coloring book. She spoke to us from her home in Scotland and said she was an ink evangelist because she enjoyed making her designs mostly by hand.
I champion the hand-drawn line over the computer-generated artwork. I think there's nothing more magical and charming than a picture that's being created by hand. I love that my circles aren't quite perfect and that my lines are a little bit wobbly, and I think the hand-drawn line just captures so much more character and charm than anything that can be created on the computer. A computer-generated artwork is essentially a series of points joined up with straight lines. And, to me, that's just got so little soul. It's so cold and clinical. And I think if you're trying to capture the beauty of nature, you really need to find a way of recording that reflects nature. And that means drawing it by hand and putting pen to paper.
When she plans a book, Basford says she begins laying out the designs in various ways, using pencil and ink.
I know how many pages I have to fill, and then I just sit at my desk with my big sheets of paper, my pencils and my pens. I draw the pages just one by one, so I just start at one point. I'll know roughly, what shape it's going to take, if it's going to be a repeat pattern or a circle or maybe a symmetrical design. I draw the artwork out in pencil, and then when I'm happy with it, I redraw it in ink. For the books, I use fine liner pens, so not a dipping pen. So it's a little bit easier. You can use ones with all different sizes, like a 0.05. It's really tiny for all the little details. And once I'm happy with the inked artwork, I scan it into the computer. So I use the computer right at the end as an editing tool, essentially because, I need to tidy some of the artwork up, but more because publishers and clients just can't use a big envelope of hand-drawn artwork. They need a digital file. So I use the computer right at the end to sort of tidy up any bits where the dog has sneezed under the desk and my pen's gone haywire, or, if I've been eating a cookie and smudged a bit of a crumb into the picture.
She also uses the computer to create symmetry after hand-drawing a design.
Now I use the computer to flip those. So I'll draw half by hand, and then I have a sneaky trick of using the computer to flip over the other side, or if it's a repeat pattern, I draw one tile, and then I use the computer to help me just replicate that up. And that's how the artwork is finished off. It's finished off digitally, and then I send those pages over to my editor.
Janine Morrison uses the computer in much the same way for her coloring books. Morrison is an artist, designer, and author of a series of books, the latest of which is the 2016 Coloring Calendar. Morrison draws a variety of subjects, such as flowers and plants, but she admits she does have a soft spot for mandala designs.
That is a symmetrical circular design, so those are really fun to color, and I think they provide some of the best stress relief. So the design just repeats itself all the way around the circle, and I think they've been around for a very long time. That's one of my favorite things to design and to color. When I'm coloring, I'm very focused on the coloring, but I'm actually also thinking about things. I'm organizing my thoughts, and when what I'm coloring requires repetition to maybe go all the way around the circle or something like that, really sort of takes me out of any worries or takes me away from any stress.
Both Morrison and Basford say that stress relief is one big reason adults are taking up coloring their intricate designs.
It's very meditative, and it's also a creative activity. There's a group on Facebook who call themselves the Coloring Club, and every week they're coloring another page in one of my mandala coloring books. And it is amazing to see the variety with which people choose the different colors, the different styles. Some people use colored pencils, some people use markers. So no two people do it the same way. I think these people are being really creative with their coloring. I don't know if they would be that creative or that free and that bold if you just gave them a blank sheet of paper. I think having a little outline there really helps.
I think it's just a chance to have a digital detox. We're so busy in a 24/7 digital online life these days that it's very rare to get a chance to unplug. And with colouring in, it is that digital detox. You're not looking at Twitter, you're not checking in online, you're not getting interrupted by an email. You have this wonderful opportunity to lose yourself in a creative analog task and to really focus on something and let the outside world just melt away. It's how I feel when I'm in a studio drawing. But I also think we all have this creative spark within us, this need to draw and create. And we just have to have the right opportunity to let that flourish.
Morrison says that when she started designing the books, she began hearing from people who used her books to help themselves during tough times when they were carrying heavy burdens or had health problems.
I did immediately start getting a response from people who would say, I heard from teachers who were using them in their classrooms. They said nothing keeps their kids calmer or more focused. Older kids, not necessarily, children in the classrooms, but college teachers and teachers of high school kids. They just said it seemed to calm them down. And then as the popularity has grown over the last few years, I've gotten more and more letters from people and comments and things like that on my social media. People have told me they've used it when recovering from surgery or when they're grieving. I've heard from women's shelters are using them. Definitely classrooms. I had a request from a prison for some books because they were using it in the therapy sessions. So I definitely think it's bringing a benefit to all different kinds of people.
So how should adults approach the coloring books? Are there any rules to follow? Or any best way to color in the designs? Basford says that coloring is only ruled by your imagination.
I just say to people that it's all about getting stuck in and not being too precious with it. I don't think you even need to worry if you go over the lines. I used to go over the lines and still do all the time. The outlines are just there as a suggestion. I think you need to pick your color palette or, roughly what you're going to do and make your mark. It's not about the pursuit of perfection. It's just about enjoying the process. And if you don't like how it's gone, just stop and start a new one. I think the less pressure you put on yourself, the more you will enjoy it and the more you'll get wrapped up in your task.
Basford says that she doesn't color in her own designs very much. She'd rather leave that to others. She gets a lot of pleasure and relaxation out of making the designs, however, and especially enjoys the natural subjects that she pursues.
I think to create anything with love and authenticity, you have to be 100% wrapped up in the imagery and in the theme of it. And for me, I just love the natural world. I'm a country girl. I grew up in the countryside. I'm never happier than when I've got my boots on, I'm in the garden or down at the seashore. So I just wanted to pick themes to create artwork that I loved and that I was completely enchanted by, and I wanted to share that love with people through the drawings and through the books.
Her latest book, Lost Ocean, is more than just a succession of underwater scenes. Basford says she adds a little mystery into the mix that her fans look forward to.
With all my drawings, I like to hide things in there for you to find, little details and intricacies. So, it might be a rogue robin or a little butterfly. In Lost Ocean, it's as though I've taken the contents of a pirate's treasure chest and scattered it throughout the pages. There's goblets and crowns and jewels and gold hidden within all those drawings, and it's an inky treasure hunt, so you have to find each of the things that are hidden in those pages. And I just like the idea that the more you look, the more you see, and it invites people to pause and to not just scroll or flick the page. Just take your time, be gentle, and see what you can find within those drawings.
Morrison says the large adult coloring community out there, each with a different take on how to color her pictures, surprised her.
These people are bringing a huge level of their own creativity to these designs. I'm really surprised with what I see a lot of times. Choices that people make. Some people color in with dots and stripes and things like that. I saw a lady the other day in this coloring club mentioning she just in her brain saw little Santa Clauses in the design. So she added little Santa Claus faces all the way around the circle, and people are really getting creative beyond just what is in front of them. And through Instagram and Facebook and things like that, it's really allowed me to connect with people in a way that I never have before. And then I see all of these other people connecting with each other over the art. If you look on Instagram much, but there are just tons of posts that are coloring books for adults, and people share their work, and it's just all of these beautiful images filling up people's feeds, and people are complimenting each other and like, what markers did you use? What book is that from? And I just love the creativity that has been spread through the community. And I love the fact that people are benefiting from this.
Basford says that it's just a natural conclusion that adults would want to share their colorings with others on the internet, just like they shared it with the family on the refrigerator as kids. And that's one of the reasons she thinks coloring is so popular with grown-ups these days.
I think we just all want that opportunity to create, to have the digital detox, but there's also a bit of nostalgia. You know, the chances are the last time that you colored in, or you didn't have a mortgage, you didn't have an angry boss, you weren't worried about the fiscal crisis. So there's definitely the feeling that, you know, it helps you to think back to more carefree, fluffier times when you were a kid. And I think, you know, that makes people happy and they enjoy that sensation.
You can find out just how much fun coloring can be when you're over 18 in Johanna Basford's new adult coloring book, Lost Ocean, available in stores and online. She invites listeners to visit her website at johannabasford.com, where they can read her blog, see more of her designs, and even upload ones they've colored themselves. For more information on Janine Morrison, her books, and her 2016 coloring calendar with 300 designs to color in, you can log on to her site at janinemorrison.net. For information about all of our guests, visit our site at viewpointsonline.net. You can find archives of past programs there and on iTunes and Stitcher. I'm Gary Price.
For children to become successful in life, it takes literacy and education. Now is a time when you can have a positive impact on those who need it most. To help deliver the gift of reading to less fortunate children, the UPS Store has launched its annual holiday drive for the Toys for Tots literacy program. Donations can be made at the UPS Store location near you or online. 100% of every donation helps buy a book for a child in need in your community, according to the UPS Store president, Tim Davis.
In 2008, the UPS Store and the Marine Toys for Tots Foundation partnered to launch the Toys for Tots literacy program, designed to give children the opportunity to read and communicate effectively so they can compete academically and succeed in life. Thanks to the support of our communities, we have raised more than $3 million to purchase books for children across the country.
Make donations at the UPS Store or by visiting toysfortots.org/literacy. Every dollar helps. To find the UPS Store near you, visit theupsstore.com.
Medicare and their list of suppliers continue to change, so if you have diabetes, it may affect where you get your testing supplies. But rest assured that your number one doctor-recommended one-touch testing supplies are always covered by Medicare Part B at your local pharmacy and approved mail-order suppliers. Dr. Brian Levy, Chief Medical Officer at LifeScan, maker of one-touch products.
Some mail-order suppliers may offer a limited selection of diabetes testing supplies. They may try to switch you to a different brand, saying your current products are no longer covered. That's just not true. You are entitled to continue using the products you know and trust and that have been recommended by your healthcare professional at no additional cost.
Remember, you have a choice. Stay with the number one brand used by Medicare patients. For questions about coverage or where to get your one-touch testing supplies, call 1-866-621-6216 or visit www.onetouch.com/Medicare. Medicare Part B is not a guarantee of coverage and payment, which may be subject to coinsurance, deductible, and patient eligibility requirements.
'Tis a season of good feelings, holiday get-togethers, and family gatherings. We want to look our best at holiday parties, but with all the running around, sometimes it's hard to take the time for ourselves. Celebrity hairstylist Christine Simons says expert help is minutes away.
In just 5 minutes, you can get a classic updo perfect for any holiday party using a jeweled headband and a few bobby pins. Using the EcoTools Styler and Smoother hairbrush, you can style your mane and dry hair 20% faster, so you have more time to spend at the party.
Beauty blogger Tenny Panosian says it's also essential to use the right tools.
Using the right makeup brushes can give you a perfectly polished appearance without taking tons of time. Achieve a classic holiday look using the EcoTools 4-piece Beautiful Complexion set and the Festive and Flawless Face set for something head-turning.
For how-to videos, tricks, and tips on great holiday looks, visit ecotools.com. That's ecotools.com.